There he is, live and in person. Look at this. This works.
What's going on?
This actually works. Thanks,
How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there. How are you?
Everything is good.
I'm going nuts. Oh, nice TV behind you. I see you. Very nice setup. Jeez, you got to invite me over for dinner sometime.
Yeah, I'm just at the end of the kitchen island. I'm sitting at the back end of the kitchen island, and that's part of the family room in behind me here at the house in Jersey. How you doing, man?
I'm all right. How are you?
All good. Yeah, we're good. Everybody's healthy, and that's the most important thing. So our families are healthy. You know, everybody back home in Canada is healthy and back in Barbados and stuff. So we're good. No complaints. You?
How often you talk to your sister, by the way?
We talk often to both sides. My sister and then on Meg's side of the family, we talk a lot too. We're super close family. So we're always in contact almost daily, really.
Yeah, that I know. That's why I asked you. What do you think?
Why
do you think I asked
you? Literally almost daily.
What do you think I asked you? Especially this. I haven't seen the Canadian border in 2 years. I don't think we'll be able to see the Canadian border in 2 years. So how have you?
I hope it's sooner. We're going to get home for Christmas, so we look forward to that.
So what do you think is going to happen with this COVID situation? Are we going to play 56 games? Are we going to play 48 games? Are we going to play in bubbles again? What have you heard, and what can you tell us?
Well, everything's pretty fluid right now. As you know, it's been fluid because there's been so many unprecedented things. And also there's so many variables. I mean, here in the U.S. with the elections and now with the president-elect Joe Biden, now that may change things. And we're unsure as to how that will change things. But we do know there will be change. So how that impacts pro sports is a question that we'll see here as we continue to go forward. I think one of the good things for us, Ash, is with the NFL in progress right now, there are some stadiums that do have fans in the NFL, which I think is great. And they're doing it in a way that's safe. If you look at Hard Rock Stadium down in Miami, they have fans. Arrowhead out in KC has fans. Just down the turnpike from us down in Philly at the Lincoln, they have fans. So that's an encouraging sign because they're doing that in a way that's safe, that's protecting, the patrons, the staff, of course, the fans and the players. So for us, to answer you, I think that's a good little litmus test. And also, too, Ash, you and I were texting, but I think the NBA coming out definitively and saying that they're going to start the 22nd of December by way of their commissioner, Adam Silver, and that they're going to have a 72-game schedule, if I'm not mistaken. I think that should bode well for us because we share a lot of the same buildings, right? Whether it's Madison Square Garden, whether it's United Center in Chicago, whether it's Staples Center in LA, I can go on and on. So the hopes is that they'll be able to return with some measure of fans. Maybe there's a vaccine. From what I understand, that could potentially be maybe as early as December. But I really think if I had to, all that to say, I would say probably if I'm hedging, maybe January, and maybe it's a 55 to 60 game NHL schedule. That's my guess right now.
All right. What else did I want to? Oh, I wanted to ask you. You're an alumnus of the Tampa Bay Lightning. What did you think of their run to the winning the Stanley Cup for the second time in their history?
Well, I could tell you, man, I was proud of them and certainly very happy for them. It was a hard-fought Stanley Cup final, of course. Got to give the Dallas Stars a lot of credit. And Rick Bowness is somebody I have a lot of respect for, and their group. Jim Nill's a class act. Dallas has a great organization, so congrats to them for getting there. But as far as Tampa goes, this really speaks, Ash, to the ownership that they have there right now. Jeff Vinik is one of the best owners, not only in the NHL but in sports. Ever since he bought that team, he's invested in the arena. He's invested in the franchise. He's invested in the community. He invests in people. And every game he has his Community Hero Award, which honors a local hero every home game. And if I'm not mistaken, it's $50,000 for every home game times 41 dates. That's a significant contribution that he's made. He's bought a lot of land. He's done a lot of developing in Tampa. So to me, for a lot of our listeners that are out there, as I look at this is what happens when you have committed ownership with great management and great coaches and great fans, and you put it all together. So they've done an amazing job. I really think, too, for a lot of the fans that are tuning in, it's not always your stars. And if you want to win in our league in the NHL, you need that alchemy of everybody. And, of course, they've got their outstanding goalie in their Vezina Trophy winner in Vasilevsky. I was actually just in touch with him today via message. He's over in Russia back home for him. But whether it's him, Kucherov, Braden Point, Victor Hedman, I mean, these are some of the best players in the world. We know that, right? But it was the glue pieces for me. It was what Alex Killorn did. It was Patrick Maroon, who's the only back-to-back Stanley Cup champ on planet Earth, by the way, having won last year with his hometown St. Louis Blues. and now going to Tampa and winning this year. It was guys like Luke Shen, some of those veteran glue pieces that they added, Blake Coleman from the Devils and some other pieces, to me, that helped support their superstars and get them over the hump. So congrats to them.
Oh, by the way, I think that a guy that you played with, Claude Lemieux, I think he also did back-to-back Stanley Cups with Colorado and New Jersey, I believe. I
believe you're right on that. Exactly. Yeah, Pepe Lemieux. And
yeah,
now his son, as you know, playing for the Rangers. Congrats to him. He just got his new 2-year deal too. And
yeah,
his
he
son,
did.
Brendan. Yeah,
He did. So what you know and Vasilevsky talk about? Any goaltending tips? Did you give him any goalie tips?
You know what? He's so awesome. It's funny. I was actually trying to get him on my Instagram live. I had Nate Thompson yesterday, so I was trying to get Vasilevsky as a guest, but he's got an exclusive with a media company out of Russia, so he's unable to do it. Things can be a little bit, things can be a little bit different over in Russia with some things. So, but of course, he said we'd do it again. We can do it down the line once his exclusive expires. But no, listen, he's a real unique goalie, and I got to give a lot of credit to their goalie coach, France Jean, who I know very well. First black goalie coach in NHL history to win a Stanley Cup. So congrats to France. He's outstanding. And Vasilevsky, a star pupil. I remember when they were drafting in 2012, if I'm not mistaken, that 2012 draft. And I remember telling me, he goes, "This is the guy. This is the guy." I'm like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "This is the guy. This is the guy." I go, "Are you sure?" He goes, "This is the guy." And he's been a Vezina Trophy finalist 3 times. He's won it once. And when you watch him in the net, he's a power goalie. Like he's 6'3", 225, chiseled, in great shape, plays all the time. Perfect blend between athletic and technical. And I remember my good friend Henrik Lundqvist telling me at the Garden 2 years ago after a Rangers Tampa game. And Hank, as you know, he's a future Hall of Fame lock. But Hank said, he's like, "We see that's the best guy in the league." So,
I agree. I definitely agree. I said he's the best goalie. I agree with you. Tell me about what do you think about Hank going to Washington, and what do you think their chances are of going ahead next year?
Well, I think Washington's still a top-end Stanley Cup contender. Ovi hasn't slowed down. They've been able to re-sign Backstrom. Tom Wilson is the biggest X factor in the league from a power forward standpoint. And obviously John Carlson was a Norris Trophy finalist this year. I don't see any slowing down for Washington. Samsonov, I think, is an excellent young goalie. It's too bad he got hurt this year because he was awesome for them as a rookie. He played like a veteran. And then bringing in a guy like Henrik Lundqvist, he's hungry. He wants to get it done. He's at that Ray Bourque kind of stage of his career. You mentioned the Avalanche earlier. For a lot of our listeners and our viewers out there, NHL fans, they remember the great Ray Bourque and how long he was great in Boston. And he had to go to Colorado to end up winning his first Stanley Cup. Could that happen with the King, my former teammate, and Henrik Lundqvist? Maybe. But I think for Hank, this will be a great opportunity. You know, it's unfortunate the way things ended in New York with the pandemic and not being able to continue playing at the Garden and having to go back into the bubble and all these different things. But we don't always have the luxury of writing how the stories are going to end, at least as far as for different chapters or for overall book. So I think for Hank, it's a new lease on life for him. It's a new opportunity for him. He's one of the best Rangers that's ever played. Fortunate to call him a teammate and a friend. And he's a future Hall of Fame lock, but he wants to win that Stanley Cup. And he's going to go to the DC Beltway to give himself the best chance of doing it. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but if you didn't, go on Twitter or Instagram and check him out. He tweeted a new picture of his new Washington Capitals Bauer goalie equipment. It looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, I saw it with the 35 and the King. I just saw it on the NHL page.
Website?
Just before your place where I just saw how good it looked with the Capitals.
Yeah, it looks sweet, right?
It looks great. Looks great.
The Eagle spread, the Eagle flying. It looks pretty sweet.
It looks. So you think they got a good chance? Do you think they have a good chance in the upcoming season?
I mean, listen, there are a lot of teams that have improved in the East, and especially in the Metro, right? We know that, that's not the spread. The Capitals aren't just the spread, or Pittsburgh's not just the spread. We've seen how much Columbus has improved. I had a chance to spend some time with Zach Werenski down in Miami probably 2 weeks ago and had a great chat with him. He's a stud young defenseman along with Seth Jones. Those are two of the best defensemen in the league, forget young. And to have both of those guys for the Columbus Blue Jackets, they play half the game. And Werenski had a career season last year in terms of goals scored. So the Jackets are a better team. We know they defend well. We know that they've got great goaltending. Pittsburgh is still Pittsburgh. The Rangers are going to be a better team. And now you add Lafreniere to the mix. But we know that Panarin was an MVP finalist this year for Hart Trophy. And of course, Zibanejad has become a star here on Broadway too. The Islanders, as we all know, my man Lou Lamoriello has gone there and spreaded some of his magic in his concoction that he puts together to build a great franchise. The Islanders now are not only on the rise, but they're a playoff team twice under Lou Lamoriello, and they're finally getting their new building for you Islander fans out on Long Island at the Belmont, the UBS Center, which we might call it the bank, with the UBS Bank out of Switzerland getting their naming rights. So all that to say, do I think that the Caps are still a contender? Of course they are. But I will say this, there are a lot of improved teams in the East. Montreal is going to be heavily improved this year. Look at the moves they've had this offseason. Huge. Getting Tyler Toffoli, Josh Anderson, Joel Edmondson, bring in Jake Allen as the backup to Carey Price. So right there, Ash, we know that the Eastern Conference is a different animal. And the Philadelphia Flyers, again, down the turnpike, had an amazing season last year. So I'm all for it. I know that it's going to certainly be harder contested, and our competitive balance, which was maybe a dental floss, is maybe like half of a dental floss in the league now.